Hi, I'm Bob Simon, host of Bourbon of Proof, and we would be nothing without our sponsors. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Coastal Research. Coastal Research has the ability to find the policy limits of any corporation that's trying to hide assets and how much financial responsibility is actually out there. The beauty of Coastal Research is that it also integrates with products such as Attorney Share, your CRM, products like that. So shout out to Coastal Research. Again, we only let people sponsor the show if we use and believe in their products.
They bring in a dude from Exponent. They literally had the experts who say that smoking doesn't cause cancer. Humans don't contribute to climate change. You pay and they will say. This one expert, they had paid $965,000 to. And I went toe to toe with that guy and I knew this shit better than he did. And that was when I knew we were gonna be okay.
Welcome to this episode of Bourbon of Proof, where we interview those both successful at law and life. Today we're honored to be live from Los Angeles. First of all, let's give it up for Los Angeles, y'all. This is home base. Home base. Home base. And we have on, well, of course, our famous co-host, the infamous, the famous Mauro Fiore Jr. What's up, Mauro?
Bob, I'm only famous in certain parts of this town.
Yeah.
And not the parts you've been in.
And today we're honored to have on Brett Schreiber. Brett Schreiber is an amazing human being, trial lawyer extraordinaire, also activist. I would call you an activist. But we're going to talk about the roots, First, we're going to fast forward to the future, to the now. Brett Schreiber held Tesla accountable for the first trial for over $300 million, 230, what was it, 230 million, what was it?
250 net, 315 on the gross.
Yeah. And area code 315?
In the 305, Miami.
305 is Miami. This man is from Miami trying the case in Florida. And can you tell everybody, how did you get such an amazing case to get co-counsel with on that Tesla trial? How did you get that case?
You know, I know a guy. And I'm minding my business in Puerto Rico at some conference. And this guy, Bob Simon, sends me a text, pre-attorney share, and says, I know some people who need a lawyer to help try an Autopilot case in the 305. And I said, well, I think I'm your Huckleberry, and the rest is history.
Yeah, so another member of Justice HQ reached out to me to try the case, and I said, this is best served for the guy in the trenches that is fighting Tesla, and 2 years later, you whacked him good.
Indeed, we did.
All right, so we're going to start off. So this is an automotive responsibility technology and how you had to dig in the trenches, how you probably had massive private investigators, a lot of experts. I'm going to call on Randy Wilson for a guest pour. So Randy Wilson, would you please come on up here? Randy Wilson is with Aperture, but he's a dude. He's a guy that likes whiskey. He builds cars. He builds motorcycles, crane operating.
He's a man.
So, Will, can you do the honor of pouring us the whiskey that Randy brought to share with all of us?
No, this looks nice. I have one of these at home.
Oh yeah, this one's fantastic. I've actually gone through 2.5 bottles in 2.5 months. Don't judge me. So this is the Jack Daniel's Sinatra Select. So Jack Daniels, we all know Jack Daniels, Tennessee whiskey, right? Sinatra was the first ever spokesperson for Jack Daniels. He was obsessed with Jack Daniels. So much so that Jack Daniels hired an employee to follow Sinatra around the world to be his Jack Daniels, essentially, hookup. He made sure Jack Daniels was always on hand at all times for Sinatra. So much so that Sinatra was buried with a mini bottle of Jack with him in his coffin. Huge Jack drinker. So with that being said,
sounds like someone I know.
Yeah. They came up with a Sinatra blend. So this is essentially kind of to highlight Sinatra. Super, I would say, like high-end Jack, not your typical old number 7. Every year, the Sinatra family and estate decides which charity the proceeds from the Sinatra blend goes to. So it changes yearly of what charity is going to. So you're doing a good deed while you're drinking at the same time. It feels a little better about your drinking, right?
All right. So Randy brought this here today, and one of the things that I know is especially true for the cases you work on is you have to be able to tell the story. but you have to have the ammunition and meet that bourbon of proof, in order to get there. When you're working on such a complicated product liability case, how do you come to the jury's level to explain it to them? And by the way, before you do this, Mauro and I have something for our bag of holding, and you get to make a selection here, okay?
All right.
Whatever you pull is going to be your ice stamper. We're getting fun on the third episode, so pull something out of here.
Bob does have some good ice stampers.
What does it say?
Attorney share.
Go ahead and stamp that ice, Brett Schreiber. Push down as hard as you can. It'll be logoed inside. Mauro, go ahead and take yours. Look how beautiful that
Look
is.
at that. That is
Mauro,
a
what do
thing
you
of
get?
beauty.
I got Justice Headquarters.
Randy, go ahead and take your pull.
Bourbon of Proof.
Bourbon of Proof. And I got Fiore Legal. Here we go. All right, gentlemen.
You got the good one.
To Brett Schreiber and their pursuit of justice.
Cheers to justice.
Hey, this is Bob Simon, the host of Bourbon of Proof. This tour we couldn't do without our sponsors.
Jeff Wells here, immediate past president of Consumer Attorneys of California. We need all of you. We need all hands on deck. We need you to donate to the Alliance Against Corporate Abuse. We need your efforts today. It's going to take all of us. The people that we represent that don't have a voice, we're their voice. You speak out for them in the courtroom. We need you to speak out for them at the ballot box this year. Let's go.
We'd like to thank 11med. 11med makes it possible for clients to get access to medical care that they would never otherwise be able to have. So thank you to 11med. We'd like to thank Clio. Clio is a case management platform that's vertically integrated to everything from legal research to your integration with attorney share to be able to do artificial intelligence integrations with everything you're doing. Thank you to Clio, the case management system that I personally use, that I love. Thank you for sponsoring Bourbon of Proof.
You know, I have a bottle of this. Gary Dordick gave me one years ago. I still have it on the shelf. I haven't opened it up, but this is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's like a dessert whiskey. It's nice and sweet with that caramel flavor.
Smooth.
Smooth.
So Brett, why don't you explain to us how, everyone wanted to hear, how did you get 315 million, 250 net against Tesla? This is the first big one that they lost.
Yeah, right. So Tesla was undefeated up to this point. And for me to be able to say yes to take on that case meant that I had to say no to a whole lot of other things. And so thankfully I got the systems and the teams and the operations in place so that I basically could go to Tesla school for the better part of 2 years, working multiple cases like this across the country and understanding their data, understanding their algorithms, understanding their process better than they did and their lawyers did. And when I knew I had them was when we were deep into experts and they bring in a dude from Exponent. The doubt is your product, people. These are the firm that they literally had the experts who say that smoking doesn't cause cancer, that humans don't contribute to climate change. Again, you pay and they will say. And they got this dude who, this one expert, they had paid $965,000 to by the time of his deposition. One guy, this cat Ryan Harrington. And I went toe-to-toe with that guy in his depo and later in trial. And I knew this shit better than he did. And that was when I knew we were gonna be okay. Because I had spent the time and had gotten so deep in the weeds, which is the only way that you can then take complex Autopilot systems and algorithms and process and data and turn it into Gerber baby food so that you can spoon feed it to, in this case, 8 people sitting in a box in Miami.
And for those of you that know Brett Schreiber, Singleton Schreiber, usually he's what I call homeless chic. So I see Brett walking around, he's got the really nice kicks on, but he could be homeless or he could be a billionaire. You don't really know. But this is the most clean shaven. This is the most, you look tight, my friend.
Yeah, I cleaned up. I start trial tomorrow.
Ah.
So this wasn't actually for you. It wasn't for any of you.
There's a lot of lawyers like him. I'm friends with a guy from Denver named Frank Azar. And if you saw Frank Azar too, it's the same thing. It's like, he could be a billionaire or he could be homeless. You know? He's kind of like, disheveled and stuff, but Azar is on the billionaire side of that equation.
It takes all kinds to make the world go round, bro.
Absolutely.
Takes all kinds.
But Randy, from your vantage point as an expert, do you ever work on a case, look at the other experts' analysis and be like, this guy's lying?
Yeah, it happens all the time. Sometimes you come across with people who really know their stuff, and other times you're like, where is this guy pulling this information from? Me personally, this is, fairly new to me from the lawyer side, because I was the boots on the ground. I was in the crane, was on job sites for 25 years, so I'm used to working outside. Now I'm behind a computer, but I know what to look for. Just that experience that you can't learn in a school or in a book. It's what you learn on the job, and I think that brings a lot to the table when you're dealing with, incidents in the construction industry, because there's so many moving parts. And you may have a general contractor that thinks they know what they're doing, and and they're brand new to the game. Well, they may be book smart, but they're not job smart. And there's a big difference when it becomes human factors. And
Randy,
things like
besides
that.
that, you have a racing company. You have you drag race.
That's right.
But how important is product safety when you're the one driving, not making it for somebody else? It's you.
It's extremely safety. All the safety measures are put in effect to keep you safe, right? And we have a saying that all these safety laws, rules, and regulations are written in blood. Because if you do have an accident, that's when they make a certain standard or a certain code that you have to follow by. And there's a lot of contractors out there that get in a hurry, they get in a rush, and they forget about the safety aspect of things, and that's when unfortunately people get hurt. So.
All right, and so hey, everybody, I have a special. We just drank some Jack Daniels Sinatra edition. We had a $100,000 donation today to the fight by Jack Newton, the CEO founder of Clio, a case management system. He just put $100,000 on the table. Round of applause for Jack Newton. And one thing he said if you use the code Bourbon of Proof, they will give 25% off Clio products with the entire PI suite with the attorney share integration. So it's a big thing for a very large multi-billion-dollar company to join the fight, especially when we know behind that layer, there's a lot of conflicting interests with maybe their financial backers.
100%.
100%. So Brett, all right, Will, can we do our next work? Because Randy, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Randy Wilson, Aperture, reach out, real human being, and beautiful man, and good whiskey. So Brett, we're going to go, we went to the immediate past, like the future almost, with you got trial tomorrow. We're going to go way back to Baby Brett. Baby Brett in the 305. Your dad was a lawyer, a street fighter. He was a fighter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, public defender.
Public defender. And you grew up you're kind of like the Beastie Boys. You're like the hip-hop Jewish kid, right? You can cite more rap than anybody. So, Will, can you tell us what we brought for Brett is bringing him back to Baby Brett?
Yeah, so this is Elijah Craig Small Batch. It is done by the Heaven Hill Distillery out in Kentucky. They are the largest family-owned distillery in the United States. They own a lot of different brands, anywhere from the Heaven Hill brand, Elijah Craig, Old Fitzgerald. The list goes on and on and on. I.W. Harper. With that being said, Elijah Craig. So the Heaven Hill brand was actually started by a couple brothers that owned a Jewish department store back in the day. Nothing to do with whiskey. And they said, you know what? This is something I think we have an opportunity to get into this. Let's start it. Dove, headfirst into it, and now exploded what it is today. Elijah Craig is named after a preacher in the 1700s that was known for making whiskey. Heaven Hill likes to tell you, he was the founder of bourbon. He's the first bourbon maker. That's not necessarily something that's substantiated, but we'll go ahead and roll with it. I tell people at the end of the day, Elijah Craig is a great smooth sipper. Anything in their line, I tell people you've got to try. You've got to check it out. You're going to have a great time no matter what the Elijah Craig line is at the end of the day. Actually, one of their single barrels made one of the top 5 whiskeys of the year, according to Whiskey Advocate this year. Barrel strength, it is absolutely fantastic.
All right, so let's go back to Baby Brett.
So Bob, as you were saying about him being like the Beastie Boys, so here's my question. Is Yauk, Horowitz, and Diamond, is that a band or a law firm? Yauk, Horowitz, and Diamond.
Law firm.
I'm going to go band.
It's the Beastie Boys.
It is. That's right.
Mike D is Michael Diamond.
That's right.
Ad Rock is Adam Horowitz. MCA was Adam Yauk.
Right.
It's your report here. All right, so I want to ask Brett Schreiber, because you have huge verdicts, multiple trial lawyer of the year.
Well,
Let's take it back.
Can we do the?
Oh, he's chomping.
We're going to do the prayer for the wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Baruch atah.
All right.
There we go.
That sounds
Amen.
Cheers, y'all.
I feel like I'm at a bar mitzvah.
Yeah, my daughter's bat mitzvah's next weekend, so I'm a little up on my prayers right now.
Brett's also super dad. You've got 4 kids. You've got 4 of those little whippersnappers.
I do.
All right, so let's bring us back. What inspired you to fight like you fight today?
That's a good question. I look back. I saw what the power of the justice system could do to people, right? And my old man was, like I said, he was a poor man's lawyer. All he did was murder defense. And so coming up, talking about the latest murder trial was pretty common at the Casa de Schreiber dinner table. And what you learned through that was he wasn't getting people off most of the time. I mean, half the time there was a confession and there's 50 eyewitnesses. But what he taught me was that teaching people, killing people to teach people that killing people was wrong doesn't work. And it disproportionately affects poor people and poor people of color. And so the state has the awesome power to take away your life or your liberty. They must be held to an awesome responsibility, to an awesome burden to do that. And so what that really kind of instilled in me was the effect that the justice system can have on people's lives. And I tried doing criminal defense. And I started doing some of the sexual stuff involving women and kids. I could not zealously advocate for those people. There are lawyers who can, and I tip my hat to them, but I was not one of them.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine, still to this day, has done nothing but like murders, death cases, death penalty cases.
Yeah.
And he always says, my clients, most of them are guilty, but let them prove it.
Right.
Let them prove it.
Bourbon of Proof would be nothing without its sponsors, and we'd like to thank Rideshare. Rideshare is a platform where you can share referrals and track the status in real time, straight from intake. It also deals with all of your co-counsel compliance, so you can work with your co-counsels and track the status of everything going on in the case. And there is nothing better than a case referred from a trusted source. So join Rideshare for free at attorneyshare.com. We'd like to thank Justice HQ, which is the mobile app for everybody in the legal industry to be community builders. You could be building your private or public community, have events, have content that is on demand, living forever, and most importantly, connect with all of your mentors across the nation. And the subscription is only $20 a month to stay connected. We'd like to thank, my firm, the Justice Team. Justice Team 844, the team, will find you the best lawyer across the country in any specialty. Reach out today. You might get to talk to me or my AI avatar. Today, we want to thank Fiore Legal. Ganes Oy. You could win today with Fiore Legal, your partner in California, Washington, Arizona, and now Oregon. Fiore Legal specializes in car crashes, slip and falls, motorcycles, and probably have tried more cases than most humans on the planet. Thank you, Fiore Legal.
Because in Florida, you want to take a plea, you're going to the electric chair, right? So this was about, and that was my old man's claim to fame was after, I think, 52 first degree and second degree murder cases, nobody ever got the chair. That's all you were doing. You were just trying to get them 3 hots in a cot for the rest of their life. But all that being said, he also taught me there wasn't a lot of justice in the criminal justice system. And so, when I was in law school, he said, try to go to the civil side, make some money and do some good. Do well by doing good. And that's really been kind of the North Star.
And when I first met Brett, you were at another firm, and you were an original founding member of Justice HQ, one of the first people I talked to. And I talked to a lot of people. This is before we even had a platform, before we had anything. And Brett, within 5 seconds, he's like, you're forming the greatest alliance of lawyers together on one platform to do good together. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then since then, left, formed Singleton Schreiber, now you have offices in
8 states.
8 states.
504 head count.
How much?
504 people.
504.
Yeah, 120 lawyers and 385 staff. 120.
120 lawyers. Jeez Louise. All right, well, we might need another pour after that. So actually, I want to talk to you about, you're doing a lot of cases with survivors. A lot of ones of sex trafficking. You're doing cases against for rideshare responsibility. You're on the War Council to hold rideshare responsibility accountable. Can you just give us all just a sense of what's going on and why and what's like, if we peel back the layers of the onion, what's happening?
For sure. So basically, if you really want to go back to the origin story, Uber is establishing themselves as the new 800-pound gorilla of politics. And they realized that they couldn't always beat us legislatively. And they're not tech and they're not labor. And they want to forge this new unholy alliance that they have become. And so they figured who better to go after than the trial lawyers? And who better to go after than the people that we represent? And let's just deny access to justice to regular people as best we can, because we want everyone to ignore the fact that we've got this big sex assault problem, right? And so, best defense is a good offense. And so don't pay attention to all of our dirty secrets. Let's make this about a new boogeyman being lawyers and doctors. And that fundamentally is what this is about. They've tried it in other states. And win, lose, or draw, they want to try to use this as leverage in other states. Because not if we win, but when we win this fight in California, they will turn around to Kentucky and Illinois and parts all over and say, well, yeah, they may have won in California, but those are crazy-ass liberal California. And they're going to try to extract their pound of flesh from consumers across this country, getting immunity statutes, because tying it back to Tesla and robo-taxi, the long play here, they don't give a shit about the drivers. They don't care about labor. Their whole business model is based upon eradication of human beings, right? And so whatever they need to get there, whatever is the means to justify the ends, they will do. And this is a step in that process. This is a large multi-billion-dollar, soon-to-be transnational corporation, or is transnational corporation, that just decides it's going to throw its weight around. But unfortunately for them, they picked the wrong fight in the wrong place with the wrong people.
You said this once on a podcast I listened to, where the hotels and motels that are taking money for sex trafficking are setting the stage for the perpetrators. Do you feel like it's the same thing that Uber is doing to allow this to happen?
1,000%, right? Every one there are no doubt that in all these assault cases there are bad actors, but every actor needs a stage, right? And I had a guy drive me up here today because I had a bunch of work to do, and he has a private chauffeur's license. He's regulated by the PUC. He has to have a real background check that is constantly evolving, right? We know from the evidence that's coming out in the trial that's happening right now as we sit here and speak, that they had the opportunity to do an exhaustive multi-7-year, 10-year background check, and they're like, nah, we'll go with the light version. They made choices. They knew exactly what they were doing. And it's the answer's money. What's the question? It's that fundamental. I hate to be so crude and jaded, but that's how crude and jaded they are.
Yeah, Ubers will stop at nothing for profits. That's all they care about.
That's all they care about.
Have you seen, they actually have a show, a documentary type show that they're doing on them, and it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt is playing one of the CEO that had been let go, but after, even within the company, a lot of sex abuse. It was crazy, the culture that they had.
It's called Super Pumped. I watched
Super
that.
Pumped. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It rots from the head down, right? I mean, it's it's like a fish. It literally rots from the head down.
So Brett, we usually do 2 pours on the show. We're going to do 3 with you because
I'm honored.
when else do we have such a beautiful bearded man on the show? I know as me's the host, it's every time. But when do you have
the
2?
beard of justice?
So can we bring it straight from Charleston? Will Baber, who is our bourbon steward. So he's official. He's been ordained.
This is official.
There we go. Yes.
He's licensed in 49 states.
Working on the 50, but All right, so we're looking at, this is the Old Forester. This is a single barrel strength pick. So Old Forester's coming out of Louisville, Kentucky. Old Forester is one of the most historic bourbon brands out there. They are the originator of the bottled bourbon. The bourbon bottled as we see today started with Old Forester. Started with the George Garman Brown of the Brown Foreman Company. Back then, you would show up with a jug and a guy would buy a barrel from the distillery. He'd bring it to his middleman location, and he'd take a couple swigs here and there, right? And he wants to make up for that lost profit or extend, his profits. And so he would add things like turpentine, chewing tobacco spit, ammonia, things that were killing people back then, right? And during that time, bourbon made up 2/3 of the U.S. tax revenue. So making bourbon be profitable was a big deal. Bottling was a new thing. It was so new, you can tell if it had been tampered with. George Garment Brown decided, he said, you know what, we're going to invest in this because I want to give the best whiskey out there. Forrester is named after a friend of his that was a surgeon in the Union Army during the Civil War. He just took...
It's his medicinal, I tell everybody.
Right. He took an R off of the original name just to make it so it's a little bit different, but his buddy would sponsor him all the time, say this is great medicinal whiskey. But again, bottled so you can tell it's been tampered with, and he would hand sign every bottle as his personal guarantee that this is not going to harm you and this is legitimately good whiskey. That being said, this is a private single barrel. So something we are doing later on in the year, if you want to sponsor, please let us know. You can come out and pick a single barrel out with us. Single barrels are some of the most sought after whiskeys in the whiskey world. They are what we look at as, at the distillery, the epitome whiskeys. I think this is going to be freaking amazing. We need to pull this out for a single barrel. And what they did is essentially you go out, you taste different barrels, and you go, I want that. And they privately bottle it for you with your name on it. So no one else in the world has a whiskey because no two single barrels ever taste the same. Once that barrel's gone, you'll never taste that profile ever again. Super unique, super exclusive. And we're going to do one of these right now. This is 135.3 proof.
135?
So almost a hazmat.
This is
fire.
I think this is the highest proof we've ever had on the show.
No, we had a 140.
You had the 140 for me with the Garrison Brothers. That
Oh,
was,
yeah.
We had to
The
get something. We're going to talk
135.
about all the fire litigation.
This one will put hair back on your
And
head.
this is, if you could see the private single, it says King of the Forest on the back. And we see the bottle.
I love
Big
it.
lumberjack here, King of the Forest. And it's not about raking the leaves. It's not about Jewish space lasers, right? You do real fire litigation to hold utilities accountable. From Hawaii to California, your leadership. And one thing I've been very blessed, and even some people in this room are your clients whose homes burned down in the Eaton fires. And we're so thankful to have you. And just due to the things that originally we're doing webinars on Justice HQ to teach people what's going on. We use a technology platform to take from attorney share, from intake, even my firm, directly to yours to co-counsel and track the status to help all those people in real time. So thank you, Brett Schreiber, King of the Forest.
Cheers.
Thank you, Will.
Oh, that's good.
See, this is my kind of whiskey, 135 proof. That's my kind of bourbon right there.
Yeah.
This is a man's pour.
I'm gonna have to dig up a photo. So Brett and I were in this like mastermind in Nick Rowley's property up in
What the hell? Big Sky.
the Big Sky.
The
We actually stayed at
compound.
that. And
Yes.
Brett may or may not have passed out in the middle of the night, and I have some good photos of Brett.
I think you put a blanket on me.
I did. We had to keep you warm.
It was f***ing cold, bro. It was summertime. Apparently Montana didn't get the memo that it was June, and we woke up and there was like a foot of snow
No,
outside.
it was. We literally, when we rolled up one day, it was 75. The next day, it was like 3 feet of snow.
It's
No one was
insane.
prepared.
And I could have died. I could have died, but
Were
Bob
you staying
saved
in
me.
that big house that we stayed in
Yeah.
Big Sky?
Yeah, the compound.
Man, the place is nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
The place is nuts.
And Nick Rowley and his wife will be on the show. Him and Courtney will be here shortly. So, Brett, tell us about holding accountable utilities, because a lot of people think that they can do fire litigation, but it's just a different beast.
No, it is. It is. And I mean, more fundamentally, I will just use this as an opportunity to say, we need to eradicate from California, and really from this earth, investor-owned utilities. These are
Say it
legal.
again,
We need to eradicate investor-owned utilities, like we have in California.
Like Sempra Energy.
Like Sempra, like PG&E, like SoCal Edison, like SDG&E. When investors and dividends are driving a monopolistic electric utility, I know this is going to come as a surprise to both of you, but they tend to put profits over safety.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah. So if you municipalize it like it is in many other states, you don't actually have these problems, because there is not a need to constantly be sucking cash out and paying dividends. You take the money and you reinvest to harden the system. to improve the system, right? And that's not to say with climate change and other things, you're still not going to have fires, and the fires have been happening on this earth for a long time, but you don't make the matter worse. But fundamentally, since the fires here in Altadena, you couldn't swing a dead cat in California without hitting a fire lawyer, right?
All of a sudden, everybody's a fire lawyer.
Everybody's a fire lawyer. And that's all well and good if you want to be on the acquisition side, but are you prepared to invest the millions of dollars that need to be done to put the teams in place for systems, for veg management,
and will
for
the other
metallurgy?
side respect and know your credibility to get maximum compensation?
And
this
they
is
won't.
one thing that I've explained to a lot of people that reached out to my firm is, I'm very good at damages, storytelling. I am not a fire litigation attorney. I will find you the best. We will do it together. I'll help storytell. And you see, like with Outlier Creative Agents, we use together and telling the stories of the victims of the fires. And your team's job is to make sure that they're getting maximum compensation through the litigation. And if that trial ever comes, please, Lord baby Jesus, let us try that case. Brett and I will be in that courtroom trying those cases.
100%.
Please let them try these cases.
1,000%.
I would love to try one of those cases too.
It'd be amazing.
Hey, this is Bob Simon, the host of Bourbon of Proof. This tour we couldn't do without our sponsors.
Jeff Wells here, immediate past president of Consumer Attorneys of California. We need all of you. We need all hands on deck. We need you to donate to the Alliance Against Corporate Abuse. We need your efforts today. It's going to take all of us. The people that we represent that don't have a voice, we're their voice. You speak out for them in the courtroom. We need you to speak out for them at the ballot box this year. Let's go.
We'd like to thank 11med. 11med makes it possible for clients to get access to medical care that they would never otherwise be able to have. So thank you to 11med. We'd like to thank Clio. Clio is a case management platform that's vertically integrated to everything from legal research to your integration with Rideshare to be able to do artificial intelligence integrations with everything you're doing. Thank you to Clio, the case management system that I personally use, that I love. Thank you for sponsoring Bourbon of Proof.
And in this case, I mean, and I got to tell you, this is probably the strongest. Between Singleton and his prior iteration and our current firm, we have collectively represented over 26,000 individual fire victims caused by utility-caused wildfires. I think it's more than any law firm in America. I have never seen a stronger liability case against a utility than
You did the Hawaii
fires.
stuff too, right? You're
Yeah.
doing the Maui. You know, that's funny. You know, one time I called Brett. I can't remember what I called him for. I called him some afternoon, random afternoon, and I was like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm studying for the Hawaii bar. I was like, what the fuck are you doing that for? Because of the Maui fire, right? Because they're real protectionists over there in Hawaii. Did you end up taking the?
I took and passed the Hawaiian bar.
Wow.
You get one Pro Hoc Vice application ever. Panish, who I know is coming later, his second one got denied.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Brian can't Pro Hoc in.
So
The
I
rules
called him
don't-
up to just to add some stupid reason. I was like, well, I'll call you later, man. You're studying for.
Bro, I have 1,000 flashcards. They're still in my office. I can't throw them away.
I want to
I'm
see
a
the pictures
grown-ass
of Brett
man.
Schreiber when he goes into the, not the homeless chic, but straight homeless mode when you're in trial prep. Because I know probably sitting there with a doobie in your mouth, sweats and a hood up, just like looking at books.
1,000, yes, yes. Were you watching me, bro? Like,
No,
you
yes.
have a camera on?
I'm in your phone.
Yeah.
I'm in your phone. So at the end of the episode here, Brett, we could spend all day with Brett. Hey, can we get a round of applause for Brett Schreiber, everybody? Let's give a round of applause for this amazing human being. End of the episode, we ask you, what's your bourbon of proof? It's not something you selected here, but what is your drink? What is your go-to when you're with your family or even just out with your friends? What do you like to drink?
It's a hybrid. I'm general. I have my moments of drinking, but I'm gonna take a Sativa Indica hybrid over most of my drink.
Well, Brett, you're in luck because we have some Indica pre-brand. There's the ones that say the highest verdicts. If anybody wants any of the marijuana, there's some pre-rolls over here at the front. Brett is a very big into the herbs and being a very giving back to humanity individual. We thank
Indeed.
you for that.
Thank you.
Well, I
man.
appreciate you, bro.
And I love my fanny pack from Mardi Gras this year with that your firm sponsored. I have 2 of them.
Fantastic. And I got you on the shirts next year. I have a special order in.
Bullshit.
I've already made the request, bro. It's in. You watch.
So Will, I want to tell you
watch.
something very
Over here, you
important.
got medium and large.
I want you to know that not only is Old Forester make its own whiskey, so does Singleton Schreiber. He has a beautiful, yes. Would you like to tell everybody about your whiskey line?
I have a whiskey line?
Yes, you sent me one of your whiskey lines.
Oh, that's right. We had a whiskey line. I forgot. So no, Singleton's sister-in-law has a distillery.
It's true.
In Wisconsin or something. They've made a number of things. Yeah, they made a whiskey for us. They made a chai something.
It was a chai whiskey.
Yeah, a chai whiskey. Beyond that, I can't really give you a lot. I don't have a great backstory for it, other than I asked somebody and then it showed up.
This guy is so successful. He forgot he had a whiskey line. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Brett Schreiber. Thank you for watching the show. Click and subscribe. Thank you very much.